My basic skiing course from Abhimas had left me craving for more skiing. Somewhere I began to harbor this dream that one day I too will be able to ski as gracefully and smoothly, just like some of the pro skiers that I had seen on Instagram reels. With all of these hopes, a year later I decided to go for my intermediate skiing course.
So I am at IISM and I'm here to do the intermediate skiing course. I think you can see that it's snowing already. Gulmarg is beautiful. I'm gonna be skiing after one entire year, so I am super psyched about that. So we have basic, intermediate and advanced trainees all staying together, and most of the trainees are from the basic course, so very few from intermediate and advanced.
I met a bunch of new people and the first thing we all bonded over was how difficult it is to get a seat out here.
Monday को खुली थी and I was calling them a week before. वो कह रहे नहीं Tuesday को आएगी अब आएगी वो एक दो दिन टाले जा रहे थे. I was calling busy.
I got allotted the most sassy roommates and we got along almost instantly. I just knew in that moment that the next few days with them are going to be absolutely crazy. After settling in, I walked around the campus and realized that IISM is the most luxurious institute that I have ever been to. Usually, adventure sports institutes provide you only with the bare minimum facilities, but the comforts and luxuries provided by IISM took me by surprise. It has a snooker room, a TT room, a gym, a shop to buy skiing gear and snacks. Even after all of this, the entire course cost just rupees 10,000 for 14 days. That's almost too good to be true. I've also been to many institutes and this is like the 5-star institute.
Yes, this is a 5-star one because it comes under the tourism. यहाँ पे it's a luxury यार. Room में heater है, गर्म पानी आ रहा है. गर्म पानी वहाँ पे भी आता है पर ऐसे नहीं आता है.
You have to get it bucket.
Yes.
Sir, how old are you? Please tell us.
I'm only 60 year young, not old.
He has specifically asked everyone in the course not to call him uncle or
Ketan bro.
Ketan bro is what he wants all of us to call him.
I have done BMC this April from HMI with some special permission. Yes, of course. Age is just a number. It's
So you have truly made me believe that.
We got our equipment and there was also a short briefing after that. And the next day, I was so excited to ski, but it started snowing heavily and our skiing sessions were cancelled. Instead, we watched a few skiing documentaries and they took us for a walk to the Gulmarg market.
It's day 2 and it still hasn't stopped snowing.
टैंक वॉज विजिबल बट अब इतनी ज़्यादा बर्फ़ पड़ गई है एंड द फैंस इधर के तो वैसे ही चली गई है सी.
I was so excited for the snowfall. अब बंद कर दो भाई, देख ली snowfall यार, करनी है skiing अब. But यार वीडियोस दिखाए जा रहे हैं, it's damn good. अभी दिखाते हैं थोड़ी देर बाद कैसे सो रहे हैं लोग.
बस 16 तारीख तक कुछ नहीं करेंगे. उनो खेलेंगे, नीचे जाएंगे, ऊपर आएंगे, मूवी देखेंगे, खाना खाएंगे, गप्पे मारेंगे एंड देन 16 तारीख आ जाएगी. टाटा बाय बाय. स्की तो होने नहीं वाली है. भाई स्नोमैन बनाने ही भेज दो. मैं बर्फ देख देख के परेशान हो गई. मैं हिम्मत मारी गई थी जब मैं इत्थे आ गई.
The next morning, I opened my eyes to the most stunning view. It had finally stopped snowing and this meant that we were about to have our first proper skiing session.
Let's go.
After snowfall, powder snow collects on the slope and it needs to be compressed and flattened so that beginners can ski easily. IISM has these huge beaters for this purpose and it is so fascinating to watch them. We started with revising the techniques that we had learned in the basic course, and obviously since we were all skiing after a year, we were struggling a bit and it was taking some time to get back into the groove.
Trusted feel हो रहा था. सर ने 2-3 mistakes point out की, but yeah, muscle memory was kicking in. Your brain was confused, but the body was doing it. Just getting to ski after so long was in itself like damn good.
2 दिन से फालतू में खा रहे थे. आज पता चली खाने की अहमियत. चलो.
After a much needed lunch break, we were back on the slopes.
I'm going for a bath after 4 whole days. The temperature is minus 10 degrees, but there's hot water, so I'm not that worried.
How are you feeling after taking a bath?
इनविंसिबल. ल्यूकवार्म पानी था, ख़त्म हो गया था ना गर्म. एक मैम गई थी अंदर बाथरूम में मुझसे पहले.
IISM is primarily a skiing institute and it is designed perfectly for it. There is a designated area where you're supposed to wear and remove your skiing boots before entering so that the institute doesn't get dirty because of the snow. There's also a separate area to store your skis at the end of each day and to wax them as well.
Every time there's fresh snowfall, we need to wax our skis so that the snow doesn't stick to the base of the ski.
IISM had its own ski lifts as well, but we were rarely allowed to use them. Most of the times we had to walk back up the slope on our own, either by carrying our skis on our shoulder or by doing the duck walk, and either way it was dead tiring. Every day we would get a short break at 11 and hot Kashmiri kahwa would be brought to us on the slope. As if all of these luxuries were not enough, Kaka stands on the slope the entire time with drinking water bottles in his hand so that we can drink water if we feel thirsty while skiing. And that's just too kind.
त्रेश 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 आप पीना त्रेश गरम त्रेश चखाई और मैंने बोला गरम पानी पिया.
And guess what? Every morning they actually send you bed tea. Anyone who has ever been to an adventure sports or mountaineering institute before will understand that this is just some other level of pampering. That is the high altitude warfare school. They used to practice on the slope next to us. Overall, I found IISM extremely strict when it came to discipline and girls and boys hanging out together. Also at IISM, you are strictly not allowed to record while skiing except for the last 2 days. If anyone was caught, their phones or cameras would be confiscated, so I had to really sneak around to get my shots. That is Sandy sir, the chief instructor. Everyone was scared of him because he was really strict. When he used to walk into the room, everyone would become dead silent. But underneath his strictness, he was a wonderful person and an inspiring personality. He was an amazing skier with the most impeccable sense of style. He would wear a new outfit on the slope every day, and from his goggles to his skiing poles, everything would be color coordinated. Once the snowfall had stopped, he actually went out on the slopes in the night in the chilling cold to get the slopes beaten for us so that we can start skiing early morning and make up for our cancelled skiing sessions.
और आपने खिड़की खोल दी है.
Even though it was extremely cold outside, it was surprisingly warm and comfortable inside because the entire institute was centrally heated.
So ताकि रात को ठंड ना लगे, they have provided us with 2 of these. One is a blanket which is thinner, and the second one, the jai, and it's really thick, okay, and it's super heavy. So with this, even though it's -8, -9 outside, we don't feel cold, and also courtesy to our heater.
Today we are going to learn one of the most important techniques.
पैरेलल टर्न. आपकी टिप्स पहले फॉल लाइन में आएंगी. Then you have to get up. up से क्या होगा? आपका वेट शिफ्ट होगा. And pressing the heels to going forward.
When the instructors explained it, the instructions were very clear and it looked simple. But when we tried to attempt the same thing, we were failing miserably. There were too many things to keep in mind at the same time. While you're trying to fix one thing, something else would go for a toss.
प्रॉपर आप फिर वेट ही नहीं देते हो. यहाँ पे देखिए, वॉच मी. इसको दबाना है, उसको कंट्रोल में रखना है. याद कंट्रोल में रखना. अपर स्की पे वेट रखोगे, वो 20% वेट रखोगे, कहीं नहीं है. अगर आप उसको छोड़ोगे, वो तो ओवरलैप होगी ना. अपर स्की पे वेट रख. 1000 बार. अब दोनों पे बराबर वेट आइए. दोनों पे वेट आइए. दोनों पे बराबर.
They were explaining it to us again and again, but we were still struggling because we had the habit of keeping our skis wide because of the snowplow technique that we had learned in the basic course. But in this technique, we had to keep our skis together and keep them parallel. We used to get yelled at every day for doing snowplow. जितनी मेहनत बेसिक कोर्स में स्नोप्लाउ सीखने के लिए की थी, उतनी ही मेहनत इंटरमीडिएट कोर्स में स्नोप्लाउ भुलाने के लिए करनी पड़ी.
चलो, who's the next?
स्लोप पे कैसा रहा दिन?
दर्दनाक.
Up and down problems है, but it will get better with the practice.
बता, गिरा कि नहीं गिरा?
नहीं, कैसे गिरेंगे हम?
If you've already done your basic skiing course, I would strongly suggest that you don't stop there. After my basic course, even I thought that I understood what skiing feels like, but I was so wrong. I feel it's only in the intermediate course when you get to know what skiing actually is. While the basic course is important to build your base, it's more about learning control. It's more of a struggling period. But the intermediate course is where the real fun begins. In the basic course, you go side to side and come down the slope gradually. But in the intermediate course, you come straight down the slope, and that really builds up the speed. You can feel that wind blowing right past you as you ski down, and that gives you the adrenaline rush of a lifetime. It made me understand why the whole world is crazy about skiing.
अंग दर्द हो रहा है. So guys, जब भी तुम्हें पहाड़ों में आना है, तुम्हें ऐसे अपना रजाई टक करना है. देख लो अभी से. 1 just roll this side and all your रजाई इधर आ गई and then this side and then you're a burrito finally और इधर से घुसो और बस गुड नाइट।
अगर मैं नाश्ते के लिए नहीं जाऊंगी तो आई कैन स्लीप 1 घंटा और तो पजामे में भी नहीं जा सकते।
इसको उठाएंगे हम।
कंबल वापस दो।
उठ जा लड़की, शर्म कर ले।
लोग सोने भी नहीं देते।
Before we would start with our training every day, we would do some warm-up exercises. Once we started to get the hang of long parallel turns, we moved on to the most awaited technique, short parallel turns. It is the most fun technique but also the most difficult. Our training slope was 5 minutes away from the campus, so we used to ski on our way back to the institute. Can you believe this? There's frost on our window. Our window is frozen.
Back up girls।
क्यों तोड़ रही?
You're so destructive bro। टूट गया नहीं?
क्यों कर रही है? पै गई ठंड?
हाय पैगी।
Can you imagine opening your eyes in the morning and this is the first thing you see? On days when the weather was clear and the visibility was good, the complete view from our window was actually visible and it was seriously so beautiful. The view from IISM is better than most hotels in Gulmarg. The day started out so bright and sunny, I was thinking to myself, it's such a perfect day to ski. But out of nowhere, it got so foggy that we couldn't even see the slope immediately ahead of us and we were falling all over the place. It's crazy how quickly the weather can change in the mountains. It's sunny one second and then it's snowing the next second.
आज हमने लिटरली लाइक बादल के बीच में स्कीइंग की है। इंस्ट्रक्टर की आवाज नहीं आ रही थी, कोई दिख नहीं रहा था, जहां मर्जी जाओ।
Who are you guys looking?
Oh, my eyes, my eyes!
I'm so glad we were standing here. यार इसको ना जरा भी excitement नहीं है। Look at her.
Sorry.
You never get excited when things happen. When there are icicles, when snow falls, you don't get excited.
I've been seeing this since I was a kid. जब भी तुम्हारे सर पे गिरेगी ना ऐसे फिर समझ में आएगा, फिर बोलना एक्साइटमेंट। So बहुत भारी गिरी है यार कंधे पे और इतनी भारी बर्फ होती है।
And just like that, it was time for the exam day. The instructors were sitting like reality show judges to take our exams, and I must say it was quite intimidating. We had to demonstrate each technique that we had learned one by one, and we would get marks for it accordingly.
Cause I'm down from, don't give it to you. Cause I'm down from, don't give it to you. From the lights we and the sun. Won't believe just what.
The next day we had a slalom competition and this whole concept was quite new to me.
You have to go between the gates fast enough so that you can beat everyone else. Simple as that. Yeah. The lowest time wins.
You need a good amount of control and judgment for this. I was finding it a bit difficult, but it was a lot of fun.
How are you feeling, Himanshu? You scored third position in technical. Ooh! Oh!
I got the third position, but there were just 10 to 15 people in the intermediate batch. So I don't know how much merit that holds, but either way, it felt amazing. I've never really been good at any sport in my life, so getting this made me feel encouraged. It made me feel like I'm one step closer to the dream that I came to IISM with.
Take me home.
After spending so much time together and making such wonderful memories, saying goodbye is always the hardest part.
एक आंसू नहीं निकालूंगी।
आ गया। ओ
शक्ल दिखा अपनी।
बहुत अच्छी है, रिश्ते आने शुरू हो जाएंगे, मुझे नहीं दिखाना। बादल के बीच
रुक जा, फोकस नहीं, एक सेकंड।
मेरा टैलेंट वेस्ट कर रहे हो तुम लोग। तुम्हारा कैमरा फोकस नहीं कर रहा और मेरी एनर्जी वेस्ट हो रही है।
feel like our entire video would be just us like doing weird shit.
Helicopter, ta ta ta. मैं हूँ करता रोबो डोरेमोन.
मैं छोड़ देती हूँ, मेरा चैनल कर देती हूँ वेयर इज आभा.
इतने में इतना ही मिलेगा.